Welcome to WrestleMania season, guys. So we thought it'd be fun to do another video for you guys where each of us went around and rated the top five main events of the last 40 years. Thank you, Penta, for of the last 40 years and what our opinions are on the main events of the respective WrestleManias. And we're always going to add our fun little banter here and just talk about what we think were the best main events. And with that, I'll actually pass it over to you, Sean, for the first one. So give us your top five, why, and we'll make fun of you for it.
So are we gonna start just doing? I think we should do it. One, we'll each do like our first honorable mention, then we'll do our fifth, and we'll work our way down. We'll rotate.
You want?
So my honorable mention is going to be would be WrestleMania 31, the year that Rollins cashed in his Money at the Bank briefcase during the Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns match, the year that Suffer and Succotash Roman Reigns was being forced down all of our throats into that main event. And it was, my opinion, it's my honorable mention because was the first time a Money in the Bank briefcase was ever cashed in at WrestleMania. Rollins had a match earlier in the night when he lost to Randy Orton, and it was the beginning, I think, of the Authority at that point with Rollins as the champion. And I think it made for an epic moment seeing both Lesnar and Reigns down, only for Rollins to come out and steal their thunder and save the day for everyone to prevent uh, jammed into everybody's face Roman Reigns wins. LOL. Um,
I like it. I think
before
that's a good choice.
Um, it was tough. I almost slotted that actually into my top five, but it just gets edged out by a couple of them. And before passing on to the master of edging out, T, I'm going to say everyone needs to like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification button. And T, let's hear your honorable mentions or honorable mention.
My honorable mention was Brett over Yokozuna. That was a pivotal match in WWE history.
This is WrestleMania 10?
WrestleMania 6. Oh, I'm sorry. WrestleMania 10. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 10. That match, I remember flat out going to school and people talking about there's no way Brett's going to beat Yokozuna. Because Yokozuna was like almost, he was unbeaten. So since when he debuted in the WWE, he had never lost a match one-on-one up to that point.
What was the year that Hogan came out and beat Yokozuna?
That was 9, but that was like garbage.
Yeah, I don't care.
WrestleMania 9 was trash.
So 10 was the rematch for Hart. Okay.
Yeah. But Yokozuna went on a tear that year. And I mean, that was an emotional match for me. It was one of my first WrestleMania. Well, I shouldn't say one of my first. It was one of the moments that actually, kind of hit me watching him beat him. It was a great match. That was my honorable mention.
Brett definitely was the best there was, is the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Did love Brett. Yeah, I think for an honorable mention for me, I'd probably go with the night one main event of WrestleMania 39 between the Usos and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Obviously, the second night didn't deliver the way everybody wanted it to, although we got the Cody Roman thing at WrestleMania 40, but the storytelling leading up to that match, just the in-ring part of that match, Sammy hitting 3 haluva kicks on Jay to win that match, and just the emotion that everybody felt with that main event was, to me, was perfect. I thought it was fantastic. I was so happy that Kevin and Sammy won. All the story leading up to that with will they, won't they get back together and become a tag team and do it? And I mean, what they did after the fact with the belts kind of sucked, but leading up to and then that actual main event was outstanding. So yeah, absolutely my honorable mention there.
looking back at it now, especially with knowing how night two ended out,
Mhm.
I'm definitely happy that WWE at least gave us the one feel good moment out of it.
Mhm.
I remember how disappointed we all were on night two.
Oh,
So
I was
thank at
pissed.
least WWE didn't crap on both nights there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. So with that, I guess I'll go right into my number five here. And just for kicks, I'm going to put it up behind me. We've got Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar, WrestleMania 19. And
Mm.
this one was just killer. No filler, all killer for this one. I loved this match. And I believe this was the one where if Angle was disqualified or counted out, he also would lose the title. And just an absolute killer match. I loved everything about it. I loved that shooting star press, even though Brock botched the shit out of that. But I mean, it was fantastic. Lesnar obviously getting the pin on Angle, winning the match and winning the WWE Championship, and they shake hands after the match is over. Just absolutely outstanding. The in-ring, I mean, at the time, right? That was, prime Kurt Angle. He was just absolutely the best, and I loved it. I loved everything about it. And this is why I just remember this like being, this and a couple of other main events before this, but this really being the one that got me back into just wrestling and wanting to just love the shit out of it.
I mean, that botched shooting star press that broke Lesnar's neck um, was just insane. The fact
Mm.
that a big man would even try something that crazy is, I mean, that's like seeing the Big Show go up and try to do a moonsault.
Yeah, yeah, I loved it. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it.
Um, and well, I mean, that wasn't Angle's or not Angle. That wasn't Lesnar's first title win, was it?
I No, no, I don't
Okay.
think so. I think he won the title before that. I think didn't he beat The Rock before that?
Yeah, he beat The
Yeah.
Rock at SummerSlam.
Oh.
At SummerSlam. But yeah, no, that definitely, and like you said, that was prime Angle. That was Lesnar during the heyday of being the Beast, with
Mhm.
Heyman managing him at the beginning and just going through and murdering the entire roster. I
Yeah,
definitely that was a fantastic match. I agree with you on that.
loved it. Loved it.
Yep.
Loved it.
Yeah, that was a classic. I mean, I can't argue that one. I will say this: it didn't make my top five,
Same.
but it was definitely one of the greatest moments, greatest matches in WrestleMania.
Outstanding. Well, pass it to you, Reese. What do you got for your number five?
Okay, listen, my number five. This match was it was an emotional match. I think you guys can agree with this.
The suspense is killing me.
Um, Here it is. I gotta work on my speed on this thing.
Oh shit.
There it is.
See,
Shawn, all
Taker
right.
versus Michaels.
All right.
which one was that?
That was WrestleMania 26.
So that's a problem because that's also on my list.
That might
Now,
also be on my list too.
but this match, listen. This match was everything. It was build, the storyline. It was build. I mean, it was the chef's kiss. The way they promoted this match, the way they came out to the ring, and the way the match ended. I mean, if there was any match that was perfectly scripted, it was that match. That's my number five. Anybody gonna argue that one?
No,
Nope. I will give my opinions on where it is on my list when we get to it.
yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. I mean, that uh, taking Undertaker to what 18-0 at that point after that one was over. But my
Mm-hmm.
God, one of the best wrestling matches I have ever watched in my life, and
Yep.
I loved every second of that. I really thought that Shawn Michaels was going to win that match, and
Oh yes,
it
yes.
was
A lot of people did too. They said there's no way they're gonna give Taker get him to 18-0.
yeah,
There's no
that
way
was
they're gonna let him win 18 straight WrestleManias.
yeah,
And sure enough, he
yeah.
pulled it out.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'm still like in my mind that Saudi Arabia show never happened, so that was Shawn
What
Michaels.
Yeah,
Saudi Arabia show?
Yeah, that was Shawn Michaels' last match ever,
yeah.
and
Mhm.
like, yeah,
No,
outstanding. I love
they
it.
were trying to catch the magic of the WrestleMania one on that one, and it just
Mhm.
nothing. You can't compare that match to any to that match. There were two different matches.
Yeah, completely agree. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Who you got there, Sean?
So my number five would be WrestleMania 30 in the Silver Dome, of New Orleans. Thank you, one Hulk Hogan, thinking he was in Detroit. Um, Daniel Bryan defeating Randy Orton and Dave Blutista or Bautista, depending where you were that season, in the beginning or the not the beginning, but the culmination of the Yes movement of the year that Daniel Bryan wasn't not only was he in the main event, but he also wrestled in the first match of the night that event, defeating Triple H to earn his way into that match when
Mm.
he was not even supposed to be in a major match on the card. The
Mm.
talk was putting him in that year in a rematch against Sheamus
Mhm.
for no build up, no reason. Instead, us the fans pushed Daniel Bryan all the way to the main event win. The only sad part of it was the fact that he had to quasi retire less than a month later afterwards from the injuries he had suffered. But still, seeing him hit the Busako knee on, I think it was on Batista, and then submit Orton was
I think it was
just
the other way around.
other way around.
I
Yeah.
think Batista was the one who tapped.
So that he hit the knee on Orton and tapped Batista
Yeah.
was just incredible to see somebody finally get over that mountain of obstacles that were put in front of them.
Technically WWE calls it the yes lock, but
The yes lock, yes.
I'll give it to you.
The yes lock.
Thanks, Vince.
Well, the nose, Vince.
So I'll let you just continue on there, Sean. What do you got for number four?
So my number four would have been the main event of WrestleMania 20. It's the WrestleMania that does not exist in history anymore. Due to the fact that it was Chris Benoit
Uh,
defeating Triple H and Shawn Michaels. It
mhm.
was the year that, and honestly, it's not so much the fact that Benoit won that put it over. It's the fact that it was the year that both Eddie and Benoit won, and seeing it the image of both Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit hoisting those titles at the end of the night, two WCW mainstays who came in, took the WWE by storm, and hoisting the top gold in the company at the same time is just an image that you'll never see. And disregarding the terrible things that happened afterward with Benoit, the guy was still one of the greatest technical wrestlers in the history of wrestling. And it was a tragedy, everything that happened. The it's That's a different topic though, but that's still my number four, seeing that ending to that show.
Yeah, that was it was tough for me to pick that one just because of that reason. I know it shouldn't really, I mean, the tragedy shouldn't deflate from, you know, that match.
You can't erase history.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that was a tough one, but yeah, that was a great match. That was another good. Benoit was one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. It's just unfortunate, you know, how everything ended with him.
Yeah, completely agree.
All right, T, you're up.
Ah, yes. Number four.
Mhm.
All right, number four here. Let's see what we got. All right. My number four. Boom. Warrior over Hogan. That was one of the greatest moments of all time in wrestling. Just when you thought Hogan could never lose in a WrestleMania match, And
from
that match
part.
was great too. I mean, you know, Warrior got a lot of slack, a lot of hate in the back room because he was stiff in the ring, things like that. But this match, I mean, I was so happy he put it to Hogan because I got tired of seeing Hogan winning every time he was on some sort of main event. It just seemed like he could never lose. And when Warrior pressed him, I was like, this is it. This is it. And when he raises that belt up, just like in that picture there, I'm everyone in my house, all my friends were over, were watching that. And you should have heard the biggest screaming roar in my parents' house when Warrior won that match. I mean, his paint's falling off his face. He's sweating to death. Hogan's hair is, still falling out. And, I mean, it was great. It was a good match. That's my number 4.
I mean, Ultimate Warrior hailing from parts unknown. I mean, give, but besides the fact that the guy was a lunatic, and probably one of the fastest main events in Mania history, considering that he was gassed by the time he would run down to the ring anyway. Seeing seeing somebody finally dethrone Hogan, and I mean, Roman Reigns is the Hogan of our era, and it's just finally seeing people like that get taken down and being able to be there and witness something like that is always something special to me. And yeah, I mean, Ultimate Warrior wasn't the greatest champion, but the guy oozed charisma like the face paint dripping off his face. And it just for like I said, for one of the fastest Mania events in history, or Mania main events in history, it still is a generational classic.
Well, my number 4, unfortunately, was already said, but gotta go with it. Your boy, Daniel Bryan. I mean, WrestleMania 30, outstanding. I loved every second of it. Everything leading up to that. I know you guys already talked about it, the Yes Lock. Even, in one of the MVPs of this match too, really like that really got me emotionally invested in it. It's Michael Cole.
Yeah,
Michael Cole called this match. This is one of the best Michael Cole callings of like the Vince era. Absolutely outstanding. I loved it, loved everything about it, and I just can't say enough good things about this match. You're absolutely right. The stage was awesome, all the pyro at the end, all the confetti everywhere. Him holding both titles just like he is there. Just absolutely outstanding. Loved every second of it.
Michael Cole doesn't get enough credit for the job that he does.
No.
Especially, I mean, yes, even when he had Vince in his ear telling him what to do, but and especially now, but Michael Cole is probably has overtaken JR as one of the best wrestling announcers in history at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I think Michael Cole actually, it's weird to say, but did he almost make that match for Daniel Bryan? Like,
A
did
little
he
bit.
handily he made that moment? He increased the impact of that moment of the match of him
Yeah.
winning. I mean, you're right. You can't get better announcing than he did in that match.
Yeah, completely agree.
And this, mind you, this is coming from the guy who called his fans the coal miners and had his own little boxed off room when he had his feud with JR.
Good old JR.
Yeah, no, I
I
just
kind of miss JR a little bit. I do miss him a little bit in
A
WWE.
little, yeah.
yeah, can't say enough good things about it. It's just outstanding match. Hey, well, I guess I'll go to my number 3. And, to your point, Reese, I was thinking about what you said with the Warrior and Hogan match, and that was awesome. But I mean, they still use this one in their imagery today. It is perhaps one of the greatest moments, single moments in WrestleMania history. And that is right here. WrestleMania 3. Hogan slamming Andre. The match sucked. Like it was a terrible match, but the moment was outstanding. Like, I mean, every single time they play that old intro for WWE, Hogan slamming Andre. I mean, Andre wasn't. I mean, Andre was at the tail end of his career here. It was only a few years before he passed away. But I mean, absolutely outstanding. This is like I remember watching this as a little kid and like this just made me fall in love with wrestling. Like Andre was the biggest villain ever, and that's the time before Hulk Hogan was like a lunatic racist, but like it was just absolutely the best. Like I loved it, loved every second of it, and everything about it, fantastic. So yeah, WrestleMania 3.
Mm.
The eighth wonder of the world, Andre the Giant,
That's right.
is
Coming out with Bobby the
it's
Brain, God rest his soul.
Mm.
God rest both their souls. It's too bad that Andre couldn't have been around a little bit longer. The guy was seeing a man that big in a ring was a spectacle, and I still remember watching with my dad, um, the highlights of it, and it was just the only other thing I compare it to is when they made such a big deal about Lex Luger picking up Yokozuna and body slamming him on the aircraft carrier when they
Oh
did
my
that.
God, I remember that.
There's how's that for random wrestling history? But they, I mean, it was another one where Mania matches just didn't go very long, but they were more impactful because of the storytelling and what happened during the match. I mean, back then you didn't need to have an hour long technical match when you could have the good guy overcoming an unbeatable villain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was really hard for me to I didn't want to pick both of them, but it was really hard for me to pick between this one and then the following year when the Mega Powers exploded between Savage and Hogan, but I had to go with this one. Like I just this one was like it just takes me back to just a different time in my life when I was a little kid and just seeing the good guy defeat the evil villain. Like I loved everything about it and fantastic. So yeah, that's my number 3. What do you got, Reese?
Well, that one that's in my list, just so you know. So I'm not
Ah,
going to elaborate too much on it till I get to it. But so what we on number 3?
yes, sir.
Okay, my number 3. I mean, I don't even really have to say too much about this match because of how pivotal it was. Uh, this match, let's get this up here. There it is.
Oh, oh,
Michael's beating Hitman. Getting that belt, it was probably outside of that Hogan and Andre the Giant thing as far as emotion, like tugging on your heart. You know, listen, I try not to cry, man. I try. My eyes teared up. I mean,
Uh,
watching Shawn and his emotions after he won that match, like there's no way you couldn't react to it. And it was such a good match. I mean, during that time, they were the best. There was nobody better than them two in all of wrestling. And you had the
Nope.
best 2 wrestlers on the planet in a match.
yeah,
And it did not disappoint whatsoever.
yeah.
I mean, they poured everything they had into that match. That match was one of the greatest of all time. That's my number 3.
And I mean that's I mean he beat Shawn Michaels was really like that's when he cemented himself as Mr. WrestleMania. Like I mean just yeah, everything about it. That match was phenomenal. And Hitman, you can't say enough good things about him. Even this year, aren't they gonna this will be the first year that they're gonna start putting matches
Moment.
into the WWE Hall of Fame. And I think the one with
Women
Austin
are
and
awesome.
Hitman are gonna go into it. I mean,
The
Bret the Hitman
submission
Hart,
match.
yeah.
Yep.
Bret the Hitman Hart is one of if not the best wrestler to ever live.
You can't really ever name a bad match. I don't think he's ever had a bad match. He can go with anybody. It could be a nobody on the street. And he could turn that match into a great match.
Yep.
Who, Bret Hart?
Yep.
In WWE, you could say he didn't generally have a bad match. I mean, when they threw him in some of his later year ones, like when he teamed with John Cena against the Nexus, when it
Well,
was the 5-on-5.
I'm talking about Bret in his prime. I'm talking about
Yeah.
Bret. He was ruling the
Bret,
world right along
Bret,
Shawn.
Bret in his prime was the best technical wrestler of all time.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'll never forget. Was it SummerSlam where he went up against the British Bulldog in London and just oh my God. Like
Yep.
the memories just outstanding.
Yep. And at that time, remember, he was married to his sister.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't forget that. Don't forget that.
That's too much. It's Too much.
What do you got, Sean?
So my number three was WrestleMania number one.
Okay.
Hogan and Mr. T versus Rowdy Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff. Not so much, not so much because of the match itself. I mean, Roddy Piper is my second favorite wrestler of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, excluding the segment where he came out in half blackface, we'll just pretend that never happened. Um, the that match for me is on my list just because it's WrestleMania number one, and it's the start of history. It's the start of this huge yearly tradition that has made WWE billions of dollars, has brought together people from all around the world. It's drawn all these neckbeards out of their mother's basements. I mean, how often do you see that kind of thing happen? Um, it just, like I said, it's more
Catchphrase.
more so than the match quality itself. It's just the fact that it was the first ever Mania main event.
Uh,
You
I,
how
I
how
too,
dare
Will.
you?
I too.
How do you
How
even
dare I
put that
what?
in the top five? It was the biggest gimmick match of all times, and that's what started gimmick matches ever since that match. It's ruined wrestling, that match.
Did I
Ruined
not
it.
say? Did I not say that it wasn't because of the match itself?
Like, it should be the top five. Number
Doesn't
15,
matter.
maybe 20.
Doesn't matter. Still was the first ever Mania
Uh,
main event.
uh,
Outstanding.
I guess
T
I'll
falling
continue.
all over himself in the ring. Remember Mr. T couldn't even stand. He's falling all over the place looking up. You can't
So,
stand there and look at him.
so
Oh.
Fresh off of Rocky 3.
just just to save T
So
the embarrassment of
bad.
having just to save T the embarrassment of having to continue on talking about the greatest gimmick match of all time. Um,
Oh my God.
I will continue on to my number two.
Very
My
good.
number two
Yeah,
was
real quick.
go ahead.
No, go ahead. I need you to. We need to get off that moment. Let's go. What's the number two, man?
My number two was just this past year, WrestleMania 40. Cody finally defeating Roman to finish his story, but start his the start of a legend with everything. The 2 year buildup after Cody returns. The fact that this man left WWE as Stardust of all things, traveled the world to show the world that, and I think himself, that he could live up to his father's legacy and become the first Rhodes member to win that world championship belt, to overcome the obstacles of the bloodline, to overcome the obstacle that is Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And yes, we were all heartbroken when he didn't win the first time. But then when we saw him win the second Rumble again, we just knew that they couldn't do it to break our hearts again. There was no way. And then
Yeah.
after the first night with the tag team match and the build up from that, and seeing Rollins end up losing his title to open the night, it all coalesced into like just one perfect moment. I mean, once you look past the absolutely overbooked mess that was every legend in the back coming out to help or hinder everybody, the match itself was great. Roman played such a terrific villain and foil to Cody. And it was just, I know, Mike, you were in tears when he won. And it was just such a moment. You know what I mean?
I can't say enough good things about it. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna wait until it's my turn, but yeah.
I mean, you can comment on it. I mean,
No, because you know what, it's gonna be like spoiler alert. It's also my number two as well. Yeah,
Hey, spoiler alert. It's my
yeah.
number two too.
Oh, see, there
So
we go.
then
So
we can
let's.
just continue the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, can't say enough good things about it. Like, absolutely, I cried. I loved everything about it. I can't say enough good things about it. Cody Rhodes, I hated his guts when he was in AEW, but I mean, when he came back to WWE, he quickly became one of my favorite wrestlers. And initially, like, I thought he was a complete, like, complete cornball, but like, man grew on me real quick. And he had that match with Seth Rollins when the Hell in a Cell with the busted pec, and I was
Yep.
like, this dude is just an effing animal, and he just bleeds for this business. And to see him get his to get his flowers, and then oh my God, and it wasn't even like him beating Roman that did it for me. It was after the match when he handed the belt to his mom. I was I was like, I can't. Like, I just, the waterworks were coming. I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Like,
And when
yeah, I loved it.
and when Brandy came to the ring,
Mhm.
Yeah.
The entrances were just spot on. I mean, Roman was like a friggin' mega star. Like, it's just everything about it was great. No, I can't say a bad thing about it. Absolutely outstanding. So this was your number two as well, Reese?
It was my number two. I mean, can we say that this match was helped by him losing the previous year?
I
oh, for
think
sure.
now we can. Now we can.
'Cause remember how pissed off we were?
Oh, everybody
Yep.
was. It was
Like,
bullshit.
what are you doing, Vince? I mean, why, you're squashing him? What are we doing? Why are we shooting down what Cody's doing? And then the following year, it was a great moment in WrestleMania history. I agree with you, Sean. I mean, I didn't really care for everybody getting involved in that match, so it's what it is. It's fine. It was entertaining us at the end of that match just to get some people in there, just to get the crowd moving. But I that was my number two. I mean, it was a great moment. We were waiting. I've never waited for a moment that long. They made us wait 2 years
Yep.
when
I
he returned
remember
for him to finally get that belt.
Yep.
I remember how all of us were questioning what the hell they were doing after that first loss, and how it was like, do we even want to watch this at this point? We were all to that point with Roman where we were just fed up with seeing the bloodline win and interfere in every single match. And knowing that that was going to keep going on, because even with that first loss for Cody, who was even a viable challenger for Roman at that point? There really wasn't one.
Yeah.
And it just, for Cody to then leave for, he left for what, like a half a month and then come back.
No,
And
he
Oh no, he
feuded
was
with
gone for a bit. He was
no,
gone for.
he feuded with Lesnar like immediately.
yes, he feuded with
Remember?
Lesnar right away.
Brock came out on Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. They were going to have a tag team match with
Yep.
Roman and Solo versus Cody and a mystery partner. Brock
Yeah.
came out, and then Brock immediately hit him with the F5. And then
Mm-hmm.
I think Cody was off for a month, and then he had his
He
feud
had
with
a broken
Brock.
arm.
Yeah, he feuded with Brock up until like SummerSlam. And I think he randomly had a match with Dominic Mysterio in like London or something at Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
But
He beat Lesnar in SummerSlam because it was real crazy to see at the end. Lesnar got up and shook his hand and raised his hand. To
yeah,
see Brock Lesnar give
never does
somebody
that.
their
Yeah.
flowers like that is crazy.
Mhm.
And then after that Lesnar SummerSlam match, he came out, I think on like the next Monday Night Raw, and said that he was putting his focus on getting back to the Mania main event, and he at that point was just starting to fight his way back through the bloodline to get back to the Mania event to win. I mean, when he won that Rumble the second time, the elation that we all felt and saw
Yeah.
was, yeah.
And him pointing to Roman in the stands there, and then on top of that too, the entire build after the Royal Rumble with how much we all wanted to like punch Dwayne in the dick, like for
Yeah,
like
when they
for
when
trying
they
to
talked about
hijack.
him taking the event.
Yeah, like I mean, Dwayne was literally trying to hijack, and we all hated Dwayne so much. And he can say whatever the hell he wants to say. That was not the original plan. Dwayne is full of shit, and Dwayne wanted to just come in and it beat Roman versus Dwayne, but the fans were like, "Nope, we're not having your bullshit. Like, we want Cody." And hashtag Cody crybabies. But I mean, it was fantastic.
Like,
So
how do you come in and say, "Oh
Year.
well,"
Oh, go ahead, Sean.
I said, "Yeah." How do you come in and say, "Oh, well, you won the Rumble, but you don't get to get your prize for winning the Rumble. You have to wait." Like, what?
yeah,
Well, not even that. I mean, wouldn't this have been the better year for The Rock versus Roman? Wouldn't that continue that storyline from last year's WrestleMania to have them go up against each other this year? I don't understand why they didn't go that. I thought they were going to go that direction this year.
I'm surprised that they didn't. I mean, I don't know what
Yeah.
the schedule was like, but I am really surprised that we are not getting Roman versus Dwayne at this Mania. Maybe they're gonna save that for a 2 night SummerSlam or something. But yeah, I don't know.
So I heard the last I knew from the rumor mill was that it was because of The Rock's filming schedule. Um, and honestly, I have in the background right now, I have the tag match playing. And you know what would be a pretty interesting feud too? Would be The Rock and Rollins. I forgot how much the two of them went at it during this build up too. When Rollins had Cody's back through the whole thing,
Yeah.
him and Dwayne got into it quite a bit as well.
So
Yeah, but the only thing is, I don't. Yeah, I guess so. But I still think this should have been the year of Roman and The Rock. You had
Oh, I agree, 100%.
this way. You have a great night one and a night two main event. Yeah,
yeah.
two great nights, two matches everybody wants to see.
Yep.
I thought for sure this would have been the year they did it, but I don't know. We were still confused on the whole hugging Cody thing and
Yeah.
that other stuff. Just still don't understand it. I mean, they still come back to it. They give us some understanding as to why all of a sudden there's this change of heart in The Rock.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants Cody's soul.
Yeah.
He's Shang Tsung.
Wow. So, I mean, yeah, tough to top that one, but there is. I guess I'll start for this one then. I mean, there's only one clear number one best match in WrestleMania history. And if you guys don't agree with me, well, you're wrong. And this is it. I mean, this is it. WrestleMania
Nope.
17,
Nope.
the best Mania match of all time. Biggest match ever. I mean, I don't even know where to start. Like Austin turning at the end with Vince. I mean, just everything about it, right? Him hitting the stunner onto the steel chair. Oh my God. And then just, oh, I can't say enough good things about it. Absolutely outstanding. This match was perfect. And then Austin and McMahon at the end sharing a beer. Just, oh, I loved it. Loved everything about it. So good.
I will usually never disagree when it comes to Stone Cold Steve Austin, but as much as I loved this match and the crazy turn at the end of Austin becoming corporate Austin, I wouldn't put it quite as high.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I could have probably squeezed it in my top five. Not my number one, but you're right, Mike. I can't argue. It was that was fun. That was great.
Spectacular.
But,
Absolutely spectacular.
The only reason
Love.
I did not put that in my top five was because they wrestled each other a gazillion times.
Exactly.
And so I'm like, it didn't do it. It wouldn't have put it in my top five because of that reason, because we've seen several matches with them two against each other.
It's fair.
Didn't they have two back-to-back main events?
Yes.
I don't know. 18 was I don't remember who was 18.
I believe they did.
I'll have to look.
Yeah, I thought they did.
Don't remember. WrestleMania 18.
Oh no. 15 was Steve Austin and beats The Rock, and then the next year was 16 was the Triple H beats The Rock, Mick Foley, and Big Show.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
And then 17 when they did it again.
And then
There's a year off.
Jericho and Triple H was Jericho and Triple
18.
H was 18, and then you're right. Triple H versus The Rock and versus Mick Foley versus Big Show was WrestleMania 2000.
Yeah, so there was a year break in between them wrestling each other again.
Yeah, but their match at WrestleMania 15 was not nearly as good as their WrestleMania 17 match.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, if you compared the two matches, that was the better one.
Yeah, that's what I got. Terrence, what's your number one?
All right, this one was already selected. Already selected. I mean, it's hard for me to even, say anything more.
Oh wow!
Number one. That you understand that match outside of WrestleMania 1 and 2, it was still a novelty thing, WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
It really was. It was really a novelty thing. And then when this match happened, it completely put this place, it put WrestleMania on the map.
Yeah.
Your local news was covering it. National news was covering it. It was the first time wrestling was covered as much as it was. And I don't think there was anybody in the world that didn't know about this match and
Yeah.
how it ended.
Yeah.
And this is what set the stage for WrestleMania after that.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't get any better than that. Like you said, Mike, this is one of the moments of my childhood that this is what I want to watch. This is what I love wrestling.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I was 4 years old when this happened, and like I was just blown away by that.
Yeah.
Like Hogan picking him up and slamming him, and just like and then learning about it, years later in my 20s that, Andre had a bad back and like he
Mm-hmm.
could barely stand.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
him coming to the ring with Bobby the Brain. Oh
Yep.
my God. Everything about it. Outstanding.
Not even that. See, the reason why that match, because it was one of the last WrestleManias that didn't have all the fireworks and the glitz and glamour of celebrities. It was the crowd was dark in the background. I mean, it was just them. And then when he slammed him, you can just see, even the camera, I believe, shook
Yeah.
after he slammed him because the crowd got so loud. Even the cameraman had jumped after that moment, and you felt like you were there. It was probably the only match I've ever watched where I thought I was there in the arena.
Yeah.
And everyone that watched it in my house felt like we were there at the arena.
Outstanding.
One of the greatest moment, if not the greatest moment in WrestleMania history, was that, because that set the tone for WrestleMania going forward. Unlike watching Mr. T. I'm sorry, Sean. I had to take another jab at it. I had to take another.
With Superfly Jimmy Snuka. Ain't nobody meaner than Tamina. I mean, Jimmy Snuka. Oh my God.
Yeah, Sean. I know. Listen. I'm not the. Listen, that's your top five. I can't argue it. It's how you feel.
Like I said,
I had to poke fun at it. I had to poke fun.
My reasoning behind that match wasn't even the match. It was just the fact that it was.
No, I get it. But I mean, if we were going to do a top five based off of moments,
I did it a little bit of combined.
Yeah. I give you that.
All right, what do you got, Sean? What's your number one?
My number one was already mentioned by both of you. It was the swan song of the man known as Mr. WrestleMania, the greatest wrestler of all time, in my opinion. Not only because I share a first and a middle name with his name, but the WrestleMania 26 retirement match versus the streak of Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker.
Mm.
The build up to it, the fact that Shawn Michaels, who was known for coming out and putting on the best matches anybody ever could at WrestleMania, The Undertaker, who just nobody could beat, and it's too bad because that the other Shawn Michaels match that I would have picked wasn't a main event, because the only other match that I would put up top with this was Shawn Michaels retiring Ric Flair. I think that any match that puts a retirement on the line and has the heart behind it that a match like this does is just incredible to me. And those two left everything in the ring. And at the end, if I recall correctly, wasn't Triple H either the official or like the guest referee for this?
Maybe.
I don't think he was. I don't think he was.
Or was it the year before? Or was it the year before?
I don't remember. I know that Michaels was the guest referee for the Hell in a Cell with Triple H, where he hit him with the sledge.
I think I might be mixing it up with the Triple H one. But regardless, the endings of seeing them leaving and knowing that Shawn Michaels was done and had left everything in the ring was just both heartbreaking and incredible to see. And to this day, that will always be my number one main event of WrestleMania.
I thought for sure it was going to be Lawrence Taylor versus Bam Bam Bigelow, but
no, that's actually number 0. That not the greatest. That's not just the greatest WrestleMania main event in history. That's the greatest main event in the history of wrestling.
That match was so bad. So bad. I mean, during the time when we were a kid, you were watching, you were kind of like, oh, there's Lawrence Taylor, he's in a wrestling match, you know, it's the greatest thing. And you look back on it, if you ever watched that match again, oh my goodness, you're like, listen, people would have turned that thing off and asked for their money back today.
I do have a question though. Wasn't that was what WrestleMania like 5?
11.
11? So are we sure that WrestleMania that year wasn't the year that El Grande Americano main evented WrestleMania? I'm pretty sure he main evented one of the years.
That's right.
Lawrence Taylor and Bam. Like I said, those were the years where Vince just, he didn't have nothing really going. He was just kind of eating off celebrities to keep WrestleMania, somewhat relevant. Even though it was already relevant, he just kind of went above and beyond what he needed to do.
Yeah.
Dude, I watched that. He's got his hand. I mean, Lawrence Taylor looks so bad in that match. I was just like, this. What are we doing?
Well,
what are we doing?
No, but nobody can take that away from Bigelow, though. I mean, God rest his soul, but he did get his WrestleMania main event. So
yeah, never to repeat it again.
Right?
I mean, hell, Psycho Sid got 2 WrestleMania main events.
Yes, he did. True. Yes, he did. But don't forget now, Psycho Sid, because of his stature and his look, is what got him in. Because remember, he would do these little short stints in WE. He would come, be a heel for like a couple of months against somebody, then he'd disappear. Then he'd come back like, a year later or 2 years later, and he'd back in there jumping on somebody. I never understood his scheduling because I think he was kind of fluctuating between WCW and WWE during that time period.
Yep. He's still part of one of my favorite, funniest WrestleMania stories, I think, of all time, where the Undertaker tells of how he didn't want to lose to the Undertaker for the streak. And apparently when Taker picked him up to Tombstone pile drive him, he shit his pants.
I remember that.
Yes, I forgot that.
Yeah, so Taker got it up with pink eye or something?
Oh, geez.
Yes, he did. He sure did. And again, what said, I'll never forget the broken leg moment.
I mean, oh my God, that was so gruesome.
Brutal.
One of the worst injuries like ever.
I've never seen someone just jump. I mean, he didn't jump that high. Yeah, and his leg just went 2 different directions.
I cringe just thinking about it.
That was rough.
Yep. But yeah, no, those were definitely my favorite 5 media events. I like how we had a lot of crossover between them. I will say that not every main event was my favorite match of a media card. Like I mentioned, the Shawn Michaels Ric Flair retirement match when Shawn, after sweet chin musicking Rick twice, told him he loved him and finished him off, is still brings tears to my eyes to this day.
Yeah. When we get a little closer to WrestleMania, guys, we will probably put another one of these together with our top 5 or even top 10, because I had a lot of fun doing this. Our top 10 matches just of all time in WrestleMania history. You might see some repeats there as well. But hey, guys, thanks for joining us for this fun little thing here. And yeah, go ahead. One last thing.
As our audience, if you throw in any comments, throw in your favorite main events. Give us your thoughts. We can comment on them. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the notification. We are always like interacting with you guys too.
And absolutely, if you disagree with any of them, put it in there. Put it in there. I'm ready to defend my 5. I'm ready to
defend that first WrestleMania to this day.
Yeah, I'm gonna let him defend that one because
no
bueno there.
Broadcast on that one.
But yeah, thanks so much, guys. Like and subscribe, and we really appreciate you. Please leave it hits up in the comments, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.